Hey, thanks for tuning in. Uh, 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 Ruth, there's a lot of noise in the background. Ruth, there's a lot of noise in the background. Okay, listen, thanks for tuning in. This is a series of videos we're doing. They're called common sense videos. I'm going to tell you things that your leaders are not telling you. And they're not telling you because they're leaders. These are guys that are running the government and running corporations. They have no desire whatsoever to tell the public exactly what is happening. So I'm going to make that very clear to you today. We're going to do them on a lot of different subjects: the environment, Congress, oil, population, food, resources. There's a lot of information out there, but it's got to be culled down and put in a succinct form so everybody can understand it. Tonight's video is about Congress because the government is, as you know, it's in the news a lot. We had a recent election. The new conservative regime is kind of, shaking things up. Well, I'm neither conservative nor liberal. I have no preferences one way or the other. But I do want a Congress that works. 85% of the people in this country are upset with our Congress. It is dysfunctional and corrupted by money. We must have the people that are looking after this country's purse strings, which is Congress. We must make them functional once again. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that. We, the voters, can literally take back Congress. We can absolutely remove the influence of money. You think I'm kidding, but I'm going to show you. It's remarkably easy to do. You're going to say to yourself, well, if it's that easy, why didn't anybody do it before? Well, I don't know the answers why we didn't do it before. But the fact is, from 1950 on up through the 70s and 80s, our country was growing. It was expanding. There was a ton of opportunities. People were making families and starting businesses, and there were ups and downs and there were recessions. But in order to be successful between 1950 and 1972, the only thing you had to do was wake up in the morning. Those days are over and they're never coming back. So we have to make some adjustments. And in order to make adjustments, we need management. And in order to have management, we need a Congress that is not influenced by money. So I'm going to explain to you how easy it is to fix Congress. And the only reason that it hasn't been done before is because the money sort of crept in very, very slowly. We didn't notice it coming, like the frog in the boiling water. You put a frog in boiling water and you warm the water up very slowly. He never notices it. What happens is he gets cooked and dies and never even knows enough to complain. Well, we are the frog, and the water is Congress. And the heat coming in is the money that's coming in very slowly, very slowly. So we're going to end that. But before I tell you how we're going to end it, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why we are going to be successful. And when I say we, I mean me and you and everybody you know and everybody they know. You're going to have to get off your duff and do something. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do, but you're going to have to do the work. So the 3 reasons we're going to be successful are: 1, the Constitution. Our politicians hide behind the Constitution. Anybody wants to run for office, they say, okay, campaign reform, finance reform, term limits. I'm going to make Congress work. We're tired of the corruption. We're tired of the money. And then they get in there after 6 months and they raise their hands and say, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. I did my best, but I can't do it. Meanwhile, they're sitting there fat and they're still there today. So we don't want to let politicians hide behind the Constitution anymore. So we have found a way where we're going to go around the Constitution. Not go around it, we're going to use the Constitution. It actually says in the Constitution that we can do what we want to do. The second reason we're going to be successful is we do not have to ask Congress for their help or participation in any way. And if we did, we'd be doomed. If we had to beg Congress to put in a bill and get the whole 435 people to vote on it and change the structure that might maybe influence their job or something like that, might make them have to do more work or do something, might make them unpopular in front of the voters, they're not going to do it because they're worried about keeping their job. So we can use the Constitution the way it is. We don't have to change one word of it. We're going to go around Congress. And now for the best part, this is the best part. We're going to do it one state at a time. One state at a time. We're going to get just one state. Actually, I'm going to go for 2 states the first time, New York and California. Although I want signatures from every state, and I have signatures from most states already. We're going to do it one state at a time, because in order to transform the entire government all at once, you got to get 50 states to agree on the same thing, and it's an impossible task. So we're going to do it one state at a time. We don't change a word of the Constitution. We don't have to ask Congress for their help. We're going to do it one state at a time. Okay, now for the drum roll. How in the heck are you going to do that? Verifiable. Go to the website at the bottom of our page, and you can read the petition. And at the bottom of the petition, it quotes the United States, the venerable United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 4. Let me see if I can remember it. The times, this is a quote, the times, places, and manner, keep that word in mind, and manner of holding elections for representatives and senators shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. The first time I saw that, I almost fell off my chair. I said, are you kidding me? Are you serious? You mean if we, the voters in a state, send a letter to the Capitol and say, dear Governor, we don't like the way you're selecting the candidates, because the technique you're using now requires senators to raise $20 million to run for the position. Representatives, it makes them raise $5 million. Where are they getting that money from? They're getting it from high net worth individuals, political action committees, and corporations, so that when they get in office, they've got 2 masters. Our representatives have 2 masters, voters and money, voters and money. And which one do you think wins? It's not voters that put them in office. Once they're there, it's money that keeps them there. Advertising, public relations, getting your name in front of people. Like, what's his name there? Schwarzenegger. He wanted to make such a big splash when he was running for governor. He took an old car, put it on the end of a crane, hoisted it up in the air, called a crowd around, and made some speech about, we're not going to, we're not going to let this happen anymore. No. And they dropped the car and it smashed on the ground. What the hell did that prove? Nothing, but it was a big commotion and people remember it, and that's what you need to do to get elected. Well, that's wrong. That is simply wrong. We're not going to do that anymore. So, the times, places, and manner of holding elections shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. So what we're going to do is we're going to petition the governor of every state. We need millions of signatures. We need to be mad. This is, what's the date today? Today's the 22nd. If you looked at the news today, town hall meetings all over this country are madder than hell. And I don't blame them, except nobody's come up with a meaningful way to fix it. Screw the people that are there in Washington now. They're part of the system. The system doesn't work. We're going to replace them. Now you're asking, how are we going to replace them? Well, just as the Constitution says, that is a decision that has to be made in each state. And if you look at the video on the website that's at the bottom of your page, the web page that's at the bottom of your screen, there is a video on there. In the video, I admit to you, we will let the governor of each state decide how he's going to choose his candidates, as long as he stops doing what he's doing now. And if he doesn't have any ideas, we're very happy to step in and show him how to do it. And I don't mean to be smug about that, but it's so simple that these complicated, intelligent, overly educated people can't seem to figure it out. The first democracy was in Greece, 500 BC. And the way it worked was, people had a nice life. It wasn't very complicated. And the rich people, the people who had wealth, people who had land, they liked their life. But it was their duty to serve as a senator for certain periods of time. Most people didn't want to do it. They liked their life. They didn't want to go up and sit there and make rules and regulations. So what did they do? Well, they had to put everybody's name in an urn. And then when your name got pulled out, you had to go and do your time in the Senate, serve your community, do your right, be a player, do what you're supposed to do. and it worked. We can use the same thing. I know everybody's going, oh, no, we couldn't do that. Really? Well, ask yourself, how about a jury? How does a jury work? That's a pool that the people are pulled off the street. The only thing you need to be on the jury technically is a heartbeat. If you're one of 12 people selected on the jury and it's a serious case, I mean, you could be deciding whether somebody goes to jail for 5 years or 10 years. Somebody goes to jail for 20 years or life. Somebody lives or dies. I would never want that responsibility. But if I got stuck and I had to do it, I would do a good job because it's my duty, the same it is for everybody else to do it. Aren't you impressed with the way 12 people, 12 ordinary citizens, how seriously they take the responsibility they've been imbued with? I'm very impressed by it. We can do the same thing, except we're not obviously going to take people off the street. The world is a very complex place. So, again, this is up to each governor, but I would set the bar considerably higher than just picking people off the street. I wouldn't let anybody go to Congress. This is just my opinion now. I wouldn't let anybody be in Congress unless they were over 40. I don't want to sound too sanctimonious, but I don't think I'd let anybody go to Congress unless they had, at the very least, a bachelor's degree. I wouldn't care if they had parking tickets or had been involved in crime or something like, everybody makes mistakes. I don't really think that determines whether a person is good or bad. But it would be nice if this person had some credentials that they were an outstanding citizen. So in the state of New York, for example, we got 20 million people. There must be at least 5 million people who would qualify for that. But so what? Maybe it's only 2,500,000. Whatever the case may be, that's a lot of names to have in the pot. So next time a congressman comes up for re-election in my state or in any state, the governor, man or woman, would shake the congressman's hand and say, thank you very much for your service, give him a thank you pin and a watch and say, hit the road. Then we would pick out 1, 2, 3, 4 resumes. That would be maybe 4 resumes for the position. No advertising, no debates, no dropping cars from high cranes or, pie eating contests or any of that nonsense. We'd post 4 resumes. And yes, each person would have a video on the screen or on the television. They'd have 15 minutes to say, this is who I am, this is what I represent, these are my feelings about the world, and you can like them or lump them. An election time comes around, one of them gets elected, they go to Washington. Now, when they get there, they don't need a huge staff because they're not going to have to worry about campaigns, they're not going to have to worry about organizing re-election committees, they're not going to have to worry about fundraising or raising money from anybody. I mean, yeah, sure, lobbyists will still come in and talk to them, and I think that's fine. But the lobbyists will have no power over them because they're not going to they didn't need money to get elected, and they're just serving their 4 years, and they're doing their duty for their country, and they're taking the job very seriously, just like jurists do. So it's a wonderful system. All we need to do, each one of us, is to go to the website, sign the petition, and then you've got to use this thing called social media. Did you ever hear of it? Yeah, send me an email if you've never heard of it. It's called social media. It's a bit of a joke. I don't bother with it, but other people do. And there are ideas that spread like wildfire around the country because we need a new government. This isn't working. We can't tweak the existing system and expect it to work. It's corrupted by money. So do what you're supposed to do. Do something right. Do something that's good for the country, good for yourself. It'll save your own butt. And we'll have people in Washington we can depend on. We don't have to worry about them. We don't need the Mitch McConnells and what's that guy's name? Paul Ryan's off on one end. We don't need the Nancy Pelosi's and Harry Reid and all those people. No, what we need is what we had in the beginning. We have Washington and Franklin and Jefferson and Adams. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was the ultimate conservative, and he fought like the devil with the ultimate liberal, which was John Adams, and the two of them. But guess what? They compromised. They had to. They had a common goal. The goal at that time was to create a constitution, form a new country, make the country work. And each one of them had to eat a little crow. You just have to do it because they wanted the same thing. Well, we want, in our government now, we want people who want the same thing. We want to fight climate change. We want to deal with terrorism. We want to deal with immigration. We want to do the right thing, the moral thing. And guess what? It won't be a conservative idea and it won't be a liberal idea. It'll be 435 people plus 100 senators who all want the same thing to happen. And we have the power to change things. I don't know why nobody ever did it before, but we can do it, and I would really appreciate it if you'd sign the petition at this website, and then, gosh almighty, do whatever you have to do to get it out there and get it to all your friends, and let's make this happen. Let's shake up Washington. This will work. And if you'll tune in again, we're going to go after climate change, we're going to go after the economy, we're going to go after oil, and I have equally interesting information in any one of those subjects. So I hope to see you again. Now, go to work, and thank you very much.
I got a news flash for you. Our Congress is completely dysfunctional. But fortunately, this is still a democracy, and using this new and innovative technique, we can return our government to the point where it's functioning exactly the way it was designed to. In order to be successful, however, we must find a way to change Congress without asking Congress for their help or participation. That's why we're reaching out to the public at this time. Our plan is to solicit signatures from the maximum number of voters in each state, so that we can then submit a petition to the governor and the legislature of that state. According to the Constitution, it is not the federal government that's going to decide how the candidates are selected. It is each state. Each state has the right to determine how candidates for Congress are selected. I didn't say elected. No, we're a democracy and we're going to elect our candidates the same way we always do. But there is a way we can change the selection process to eliminate the influence of money. Now, there are many different ways the state can do that. And if they can't figure out how to get the money out of the selection process, we're very happy to step in and show them how. Now, there are 3 reasons why this effort will be successful. First and foremost, the United States Constitution is fine just the way it is. We do not have to change one word of the Constitution. And that's why a lot of these other efforts have failed, because Congress hides behind the Constitution. Number 2, we do not have to ask Congress for their help or participation in any way. We designed this technique because we're going to go around Congress. Number 3, and this is maybe one of the best reasons we're going to be successful, we're going to do this one state at a time. Just get one state to change the selection process, and other states will fall in line very quickly. That's much easier than trying to change the entire Congress all at once. But before we can do anything, we need your support. We need the signature of the maximum number of voters from each state, and that's up to you. So do your part. Sign the petition, and then immediately go out and get as many other people as you can to sign the petition. If you'll do that, then we can take control of Congress out of the hands of the major donors, the political action committees, and all of the high net worth individuals that run our government now. We can return our democracy to being one person, one vote. We can do this, so get out there and do it.